So I'm saying that it is not a overnight thing, and you should take time. It's like you find your partner. It's like how you choose your wife or husband. You need to take time to find your investors. If you do a mistake there, you're dead, because that person is going to be with you for the rest of your journey.
Yeah.
Extremely critical to choose the right investor.
Right partner there.
Yeah. So you had a question. Sorry.
Yeah, few questions. One was like, you said like the business plan is important. There are few things to it. So, what was that key element, which got to the first funding? Second, probably, where did you was it in the Indian context you got the funding first, or was it someone who the level 2 or level 3 funding, like we got it from outside? And third is that's right, the friction is still there, understanding the lingo between the entrepreneurs and the investors. So how, what's that, that conversion point, what is the right thing you have to, say, or that gets to that, yes, you get that investment?
Okay, so I'll take the last question first, because I think that's an important element that I myself have been researching over the last 5 years. Okay, so I would say that what the investor is looking for, okay, is the ability of the team to convert that opportunity into reality. Okay, so that's the first thing we look for. So there's a lot of this, convincing that happens indirectly. It's not direct. You can't say I'm the greatest guy on this planet, right? You have to show it by performance. You've got to show it by what you have done in the past. You've got to show how you're going to deal with some of the, business challenges or the technology challenges. Okay? So that's a lot of introspection that you have to do and lay down your limitations upfront in front of the investors. Not about the right or the positives, but about the negatives. So explaining the investor about your limitations and what you're good at and not good at is extremely critical from an investor, because his goal in life is to reduce the risk of his investment. So the more you tell him about what those risks are and you point him in that direction, without making him fall off the chair, okay, saying that this is going to be a business that's not going to flag. But I think that part is very critical, to explain your limitations. Okay, that's number one. I think number two part of the lingo is, what are the use cases and applications you see about your product or technology, okay, which can be repeated in that market. Okay. The third part is, I think, a validation and a reference, a verification of your use case. So it doesn't have to be a customer. It has to be someone who says, I looked at your product or technology in the sketch form. I think this use case that you guys are doing is valid. I would be the first buyer if you build that solution. And yes, I will pay for that, okay, in a reasonable time frame. So that part of getting those references is extremely critical again to communicate, because the investor can go back and check with that person and say, is this right, or what is this guy saying? If it's technology, okay, you need to spend time in identifying advisors who can vouch for your technology. Okay, somebody who is an industry leader who has done it before. So for example, in Uniken, I went and talked with Dr. Whitfield Diffie. Okay, Dr. Whitfield Diffie was is a father figure in PKI. He was the guy who designed the PKI public key infrastructure, from where SSL came, and we see all this HTTPS happening. This is 1978. Okay, he's a Stanford professor. You can check up on the internet. He's one of the top Hall of Fame innovators in the US. So I wrote to him. I told him I want to come and meet you. How we went to Israel. I went and met him in Stanford University, and I told. So those things, okay, getting those references out of the way, extremely critical, because that is something the investor can lay his hands on, go and cross-check and verify. Okay, so I think that is the last part of your question. What was your first question?
I think first question was around, did you get the funding on India part of things, showing the India roadmap, or more of a global thing?
So we showed...
where did you get the funding from? The Indian investor was there first? Or
so now I'll tell you the Indian investor, I would say, profiles that are there, and then I'll tell you what investor we have, right? So most of the India funds which are there are global investors who have set up an India shop. Most of them, 90% of them. So it will be, so the top 10 funds which are there in India, which I think what you should aim for, okay, because it's not the money, it's the person and the team behind the money, okay, that's very important when you sign up with that fund, right? So the top 10 funds, and what I mean by top 10 is, do they have the capability to get you business? Very simple. Okay, it's the network, right? So you need to get to the right investor, right? So you need to find, of course, apart from the domain and portfolio and all that stuff, so there should not be a competing portfolio. You need to make sure that you do your background check on the investor. But in India, broadly, most of these funds are global funds. So whichever fund you apply, it's a global fund. It has an India arm. The decision making is either here or jointly done. So in our case, it was a global fund. So it's a US-India fund, Nexus Venture Partners, amazing bunch of people. Dr. Naren Gupta is an inventor himself. He started a company, took it public. Okay, so Sandeep is on my board. So you need to go to the fund that will understand your technology and will appreciate what you're doing. Okay, number one. So number two is, I think after you've done your due diligence on the investor, I think the other part is understanding how the venture financing works. Okay, some of the things we don't understand as entrepreneurs and as inventors is we really don't see their side of the equation at all. So they have a business, they are running a business, they are not social organizations, they are not NGOs sitting here to sign a check for us, right, to burn that cash for innovation. So that business model is very unique. It has a life cycle. So any venture fund has a 5-year, 10-year life cycle. So they have to raise capital in the first 5 years or 3 years. They have to deploy that capital into startups, and in the next 5 to 10 years, they have to pull back that money and pay back to their investors. So the VCs have their investors to whom they are committed to, which are called LPs. So now what happens is the pressure on the VC actually dictates the pressure in the market. So we don't understand that dynamics. As entrepreneurs, we think, oh, we are going to give a business plan, he's going to fund us, and so it's not that. So you need to understand that life cycle, and you need to make sure that your business plan is aligned with his business plan or his fund. Okay. Now that's a little bit of homework for innovators and tech guys. We don't really tend to spend a lot of time on those things, but a little bit of homework here and there, you'll get to know that. But understanding that dynamics is very, very important.
Yeah. So, you briefly touched upon, the importance of getting advisors, board members. I want to take a step back and want to ask you a question around how did you get your founders, right? Because that's really the core team. You spend more time with them than your wife, right, or than your family. So tell me something about how co-founder team came up.
So whatever I speak today, I'm speaking along with my partners. They are here. That you just don't see. So myself, Ishwar, Nilesh, and Prakash, the four of us. So Prakash was with me in Vijay TI, so 1989. So I know him since 1989. Okay. We were batchmates together. We had done projects together those days. Nilesh and Prakash were part of my Infosys mobile computing team. So they were juniors whom I had hired as part of my team. I knew them since 1999, so I know them since 1999. Okay. So when I started Unicon, I knew most of my founders more than like 4 to 5 years. Okay. So Prakash I knew for about 12 years. Nilesh and Ishwar I knew for about 3 years. So one thing I always talk about is the chemistry between the founding team. Okay. So the things that and a team is required. Okay, unless you are Mr. Kirloskar who just did it himself alone and that kind of stuff, right? So, but this is not an era of do it yourself. Okay, it is an era of collaboration. It is an era of teamwork, because you don't bring all the skills on table, and it's a very, very sophisticated, specialized business environment. So you need people with different expertise. Okay, so I am the science math guy in my team. Ishwar is the technology guy. Okay, Dinesh is the pre-sales business analysis guy, and Prakash is the execution guy. He looks after projects. So we knew that each one of us is complementing each other, and hence this respect for each other's domain was built into that equation. But more than that, it was the emotional connect. 90% of startups, they fail, not because of the opportunity, not because of the business plan, not because of investment as well. It is because of the lack of coordination and understanding between the founders.
So that chemistry fails.
It's more, so the first 6 to 9 months or 12 months, when you are choosing to work with the founder, okay, you have not worked with him before. Okay? Even if you have worked with him before, him or her, the context was different. In a business environment, the context is different. You are almost peers, okay, no matter what the earlier relationship is. So, and if he's your friend, you have a channel of communication, and the most important channel of communication is to communicate the limitations of each other. Okay, So when in